Aloha, and welcome to Betty's Real Estate Corner, brought to you by Caldwell Banker, Sakamoto Properties. Here we are again. It must be Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Yep, we got a lot of different things that we want to talk about.
How did we end up with Betty's Real Estate Corner as a name?
I don't know. We just didn't have a name.
Just out of curiosity.
And we were starting it. I don't know. I really don't remember. I might have to talk to Cindy about it.
Yeah, pretty catchy though.
It kind of works for us. It's just kind of a little bit of real estate, a little bit of everything else that's going on in the world. Today in the studio, we have Shelli Sakamoto-Burkhart, our daughter, and she's here from California for just a few days, but we are so thankful to have her here. We may get her to say a few words. She's a school teacher from the LA area, Anaheim. And she has a lot to say also about the virus and things that are going on in the world. And we're going to hit on that kind of strong today. But we also want to do a little bit of real estate, a little bit of this. Dr. Norm Eston is going to check in with us. And he's got some statistics that aren't looking so good. But again, he's available. All of his people, all of the medical that we have in Maui, they're ready. They're standing by. They want to vaccinate. And we've all got to think about it now. I mean, no excuses anymore, unless it's a true medical urgency. But we need to, I keep saying now, protect the field. You know, one for the Gipper, whatever you can come up with. Let's think about whatever you need to do, let's do it. It's easy. Let's figure out how we do it.
You know, to a huge extent, it's not fair to us that are vaccinated to have so many that are unvaccinated. So, you know, our appeal really is to all of you unvaccinated people out there. And we understand there are some reasons that you can't or won't. But if you can at all, think of the rest of the society. And please get vaccinated. This Delta variant is just one of probably many more variants that are going to come down at us. And it's not a laughing matter. It's very serious.
It's dead serious. And when you think now, most of the aging population has been vaccinated. Not everybody. And to fellow aging people, let's all push one another so that we get it done. And we also are going to protect the youngsters. You know, by being vaccinated ourselves, the children under 12 and the babies and everybody else will have less chance of being able to catch the virus from someone. And more children are getting the virus these days than were in the early days. So again, we got to protect the field. We've got to protect everybody. We even have to protect those who refuse to get vaccinated. But if you have no reason, or you just have it in your gut that you want to take a stand on something, don't take a stand on this. Find something else. There's some better causes and better things that we can all do.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of different areas starting to kind of clamp down again and revert back to former statuses with masking and, you know, just everything's tightening up again in a lot of areas of the country, primarily the South, I guess, but in all areas of the country we're seeing a huge increase. And I think Maui itself had, 60-something?
69 people today.
Yeah, and Hawaii was 660-something. Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
A lot of people.
You know, a good news thing that I heard a few minutes ago here at the radio station, Congressional Gold Medals were awarded to those who protected the Capitol on January 6th. And I think that's fabulous. I mean, somebody should protect. And these people gave up so much of themselves. I mean, people died. You know, there were some suicides among people that had protected. They probably never, ever, ever thought they would have to have been in a position where they were going against our own citizens to protect the Capitol. Yeah. And whatever has happened there, to give Congressional Gold Medals right now, I so support it, and it's so spectacular. And so a good thing happened. And I guess that's it for that also.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good editorial right there, too.
So I think we're going to, like Norm Eston's going to check in with us. We're going to try to do a little bit of real estate here.
Here, I've got an interesting one. It's a house on Lanai. It's listed at $1,149,000, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, and about 2,300 square feet. and it's listed by Max Blair from our Coldwell Banker office. Max can be reached at 808-866-2334. Call Max and ask him about this great house for sale on Lanai.
And another favorite one for me, Elizabeth Quayle has a listing close to the ocean on Front Street, 1133 Front Street, little short walk to get to Baby Beach, listed at $1,995,000, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, 7,500 square feet of land, and the house is just over 2,000 square feet. But you can walk everywhere from there. The house is in really good shape. You can walk to Lahaina town. You can get almost anywhere simply. And again, Baby Beach. There's no finer beach anywhere.
That's right, yeah.
Elizabeth, you can reach at 808-276-6061.
Speaking of Front Street, here's another one. It's this is Ocean Front, 1441 Front Street, listed by Robert Myers. Robert can be reached at 283-3067. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's about 1,988 square feet. Direct ocean front. It's on the north end of Front Street, and very worthwhile to see.
Roy and I also have an exciting new listing at Kapalua at the Ironwoods, number 72. It's listed at $5.2 million. It had an upgrade a number of years back that has made this one of the most spectacular properties that you will ever see. It sits overlooking what is now, I think, the 17th hole of the Kapalua Bay course. Used to be 5. The upgrade was so spectacular. You're right on the ocean. You can see sunsets every day. It's really great. So call us if that's something that you'd be interested in, or you know someone that would be. It's obviously not for everybody, but it is something that's really spectacular.
I think that's the most spectacular oceanfront listing right now at Kapalua. It's 2 bedrooms, 3 baths, and the upgrades have been fantastic, unbelievable. And you're right on the green, basically, at which is now, again, the 17th hole on the Bay course. And that's probably the most photographed golf hole on Maui, that par 3, 17th hole on the Bay course.
We have one other listing it's right at Kapalua, but technically not the Kapalua Resort, at 6291 Honoapialani Road, listed at $9.9 million, 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. The acreage, 3.5 acres basically, and it's a really fabulous home. So I think that anyone looking for a property like that, oceanfront, and if you're checking all of Maui right now, the number of oceanfront homes available, or even direct oceanfront condominiums, is becoming minimal. So if it's something that you would be interested in, a lot of these properties in a few years, I think anybody will look back out and think, if only I'd invested then. Yeah,
that's right.
It's going to be an interesting time.
No, this is a fantastic property. You can't find 3 acres on the ocean anymore, anywhere. And this is
That's
fantastic.
True. Almost anywhere in the country. You know, if you went across the country and were trying to find 3 acres on the ocean, it's going to be really hard to find. And living here is going to be really the finest in the world.
So call Betty, 808-870-7062, or call Roy, 870-7060. So ask us about 6291 Honoapialani Highway.
Okay, it sounds like we've got Dr. Eston on the phone. And if you don't know, Dr. Norm Eston has a practice that's doctors on call in West Maui primarily, but has now opened up an unbelievably top office in Wailea. And he also has other locations where they've been doing originally testing and now vaccinations. But he's going to fill us in on what's happening. And the same thing, Doc Norm is going to tell you that it's time we all step up. Aloha, Norm.
Morning, Norm.
Aloha, Betty and Roy. Nice to hear you both.
Nice to hear you.
Thanks for the opportunity to put the word out with a weekly update here. There's some good news and some not so good news. The good news is around the state, around the country, and around the world, the vaccines that we have are working just great. And they're still as safe as they were. We've now given about 4 billion of them worldwide. And the 3 that we have on this island are leading the charge, the Moderna, the Johnson & Johnson, and the Pfizer, and they're all readily available. And they're very safe, very effective, and they're working very, very well against the new strains that are coming out, especially this Delta variant. And they work in terms of preventing people from getting very sick, from having to have a tube in their throat, from having to be in the hospital, or from dying. You still might get a very, very mild flu-like feeling and maybe a tiny cold, but otherwise they'll prevent you from getting very seriously ill. Now, the not-so-good news is this new variant, the Delta variant that we've all heard about, is really wreaking havoc on those of us who haven't gotten vaccinated yet. And the reason is twofold. One, it's much more catchy. It's about as catchy as chicken pox or measles or even smallpox. So that's about 2.5 times as catchy and communicable as the regular virus. And secondly, it's much more serious. It's affecting younger people. It's affecting them earlier, and they're winding up being much sicker. So our hospitals are starting to fill up again. So as long as this Delta keeps growing, in which it is now, it's responsible for most of the cases around Maui, around the state, around the country, the more it's going to be important to get those of us who are not yet vaccinated to give us some protection while we have time, because otherwise we're going to be really burdened. It's going to wind up being worse than it was last winter for all of us around the whole state as well as around the whole country. So that's where we stand. You should be able to get a vaccine at your doctor's office, at any pharmacy, at most clinics. Any of these 3 are available. Again, they're all free, and your health insurance will pay for it. If you have health insurance, there's no charge to you. We're seeing essentially no side effects. You do need 2 of them for total protection. Again, if it's the Moderna and the Pfizer, about 3 or 4 weeks apart. Only one if it's the Johnson & Johnson. But they're remarkably available. And what's going to happen now is that the United States government is going to require the vaccination for all federal employees. The state is going to require it for all state employees. We're probably going to require a vaccination for any foreigner coming into the United States. And we're going to be requiring it for all high school and school students competing in all athletics in Hawaii, as well as their coaches. So probably for the audience as well. So it's going to become standard. So those of us who haven't gotten it yet want to come forward and get it.
That sounds great, Norm. I didn't realize that all of those different entities are going to now say you have to be vaccinated and prove it. And I think that's really that says a lot for the direction we're going in and for the eventual safety of all of us.
I think pretty much, there was just a news flash. I saw that CNN has required it now of all their employees, and a couple of employees showed up and refused to be vaccinated and were terminated. It's just a condition of employment, and this is not unusual. I mean, we have required vaccination for lots of things. We don't let kids go to school at all unless they've had measles, mumps, and rubella, meningitis types of vaccines. We don't allow people to work unless they've had a TB test. So, we don't allow anybody in healthcare to work unless they've had hepatitis A or hepatitis B shots. So this is not a big deal. Requiring this as a condition of employment to ensure your own safety and the safety of everybody you work with, as well as the people you take care of.
Well, I think, again, like we were saying a little while ago here, that you've got to protect the field. It's something that's always done, and we've got to take care of one another. No one else is going to take care of us. So we've got to really look around and take care of the person next to you, across from you, that you pass by on the street. We all have to take care of one another. It's time for that. We're one country, one family of people.
Yeah, hey Norm, quick question. I've heard people say, FDA hasn't approved this, and they're not going to get it until FDA approves the vaccine. Is that around the corner? Is FDA about ready to approve this?
I think they are, Roy. And historically, the way this works is that it normally takes 6 to 9 months to get a complete review by the FDA for permanent approval for a vaccine. And what happened here with the pandemic emergency is they'd actually been working on it for 10 years already in terms of the basic science, and so they came up with the vaccine itself in somewhere between 9 and 10 months, which is phenomenal. And so they didn't have a chance to move it through the entire approval process for final approval, so it's been distributed in 4 billion doses so far around the world under the emergency use approval. Essentially, it's been approved in terms of it being so safe, and it's just a kind of a formality for the FDA to kind of say, you know what, this is great, but they've got to crunch the numbers and make sure that there aren't any hidden cases of problems, and I don't think there are, because historically, any kind of problem that's a long-term problem actually also turns up in the first 6 or 8 weeks, and we haven't seen that. So I think that's around the corner.
We had another interesting statement here a little while ago. Roy's daughter, our daughter, Shelli Sakamoto-Burkhart, is here with us today. School teacher, 5th grade, very well educated. And as we were just in the car, and we haven't seen one another now for over 2 years, it's just such a fabulous moment. But she suddenly just said, and as what she would say to everybody right now is, if you're not vaccinated, you're just plain being selfish. It's not all about you. Is that the most simplistic way to think about it? It's not all about you. You are being selfish. Be vaccinated now.
Well, I think that's a good point. But there's a lot of self-interest involved too. You're protecting yourself, and we all know people who have gotten sick from this, and unfortunately, we all know people who didn't make it, and it's preventable. And at this point now, all the people that are in the hospital, and there are thousands, and all the new cases we're seeing, which are 50, 60,000 a day now. These are all people who are essentially unvaccinated, and all the hospitalizations and deaths are people who are unvaccinated. So it's not only, as you say, all of us, but each of us ourselves are vulnerable, if we haven't protected ourselves. So you do it for yourself, and you do it for everybody else.
Absolutely, Norm. Thank you so much for coming on and helping our community this way. Because when you hear a doctor say what you're saying right now, it matters a whole lot more than the person next to you. So I just think everybody's got to listen and hear the message. But thank you again so much for being here with us.
Thank you both, and aloha.
Aloha.
Bye-bye. Aloha.
See you soon. So shall we go back to a little real estate, or should we stay on our message?
Well,
real estate, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, besides our message as far as vaccinations and so forth, again, we keep harping on local charities.
Yes.
The Maui Food Bank, they do a fantastic job supplying food for the needy, and we can always help. All of us can help.
We've supported for a long, long time Halimakua in any way that we could, and Roy's been on the board of directors for the better part of 40 years in a variety of capacities. But Halimakua is one that definitely, as time goes on, always needs something. A lot of caring people. They fought really hard because of the virus and because of everything else that's been going on. So I think that is another thing really, really so important for everybody. And that's not always just our seniors, our aging population. We saw a young man there when we were first involved who was really amazing, a quadriplegic that had been injured on the Big Island in an accident. You could see the spark in his eyes, but he couldn't communicate. But they made for him the greatest life that he could have as he was. And you could go in and talk to him. I mean, you were talking, he wasn't responding, but he was, because he had bright eyes and a bright smile.
Yeah, you could see it in his eyes.
Yeah. It was really
Absolutely.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. And babies have been treated there for different things.
Oh, yeah. And there's some, really big, exciting news that's coming out about Halimakua. You'll all be able to see and hear what's going on in the next few weeks. But there are some expansions of our facilities and our services that are going to be announced shortly. So stay tuned. But Halemakua, keep Halemakua on your radar for one of our local charities to support, the Maui Food Bank, Halemakua, and many other great services here.
Quite a few years ago, Roy and Sue Cooley was involved with us. You know, Sue, who did the stadium at Lahainaluna High School, were interested in a project called the Greenhouse, which I couldn't give you enough information about it right now. But all of a sudden, it's resurfaced, and it'll be interesting to see if it could be something that could ever happen in Maui. But it was a setup that would make nursing homes totally different. There would be like 9 bedrooms possibly in the place, and there would be like 10 residents, and it would just be like a home. You know, there'd be a hearth room and a kitchen, and everybody could be involved. And Roy went to Tupelo, Mississippi to see what it was all about and has talked about it.
Birthplace of Elvis Presley.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Halemakua was on the forefront of trying to attempt that, and I don't think it's going to happen, at least not for a long time. But I'm really proud of you, Roy, that you found that and tried to make it something that could happen here. But we probably should take a few more real estate moments because we have the 3-minute warning.
Okay, here's a brand new listing. It's by our buddy Daniel Sales. Daniel can be reached at 808-870-4899. Daniel has this great new listing. It's at 30 Hui'i Road in Napili. It's a fantastic location, oceanfront. It's a 5-bedroom, 6 baths, 6,300 square feet. Even has an ohana, and it's listed at $11,950,000. Fantastic views of Lanai and Molokai.
You know, another quick comment would be, right now there's some new programs coming out for first-time home buyers that are going to make it possible for some people to be able to step in and figure out how to buy a place, you know, with a very low down payment, or in certain cases possibly no down payment. The interest rates...
Yeah, there's some county-assisted programs available also.
Yes, that's... Yeah. I wasn't sure what they were, but right. I think there's so much right now.
So call us, Roy, at 870-7060, Betty 870-7062, and we'll clue you in about these down payment assistance programs. And here's one that you can really qualify for. It's in Kahana Manor. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, listed at $499,000. It's listed by Rick Kepler from our Coldwell Banker office. Rick can be reached at 283-3729. It's this has been newly furnished and upgraded at the end of 2019, so everything's spick and span on this.
Great location. You can walk over to the beach. Very simple living, and you can afford it. And the interest rates are going to make it better than paying rent in most cases. And it will get you started on a path, even if you have to be a little bit squeezing in. Now we're down 1-minute warning. So we're going to get closed out of this pretty quickly. Danny Couch is going to be coming back with our I Love Hawaii, which, oops, here he is. Thank you so much for listening today. We love Hawaii. And please help us all on the vaccination. Let's get vaccinated. Aloha.
Aloha.